Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins.
And I'm Paul Hankins.
And welcome to On the Air with Power Squared, a weekly behind-the-scenes look at what we hope will be everyone's favorite comic book, Power Squared.
That's right.
Yeah. This week we're doing a podcast separate from the Twitch stream.
Yes.
Breaking a tradition of 6 or 7 weeks. This week we were looking at the first thumbnails from issue 15.
Yes.
From Rachel Wells, our artist. And that's not bad visually, but really not exciting to listen to.
Yeah. So
we thought we'd talk a little bit about that process as opposed to making you sit and watch us, listen to us looking at a screen. So
yeah.
So what we typically do is she sends us an A and a B. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
It sounds really familiar, to me at least. She sends us 2 sets of thumbnails, 8 pages at a time, because we do 8 pages a month, mostly out of budget considerations. So she does 8 pages, A version and a B version. And so we sit down and look at the A version against the script and the B version against the script. And then we look at A and B together and decide we like this of this. And right?
Yeah.
Right. So this week we're looking at how they met.
Yeah.
Which we read a few weeks ago as a future script.
Yeah.
So you can go back and re-listen to that, catch up. But so we were looking at the first 8 pages today. And this story is sort of a kind of, I like to think of it as a, what I call an entry point. If you've not read Power Squared before, this at least kind of gets you going because you see kind of you see Mocha's backstory and you see how the boys' backstory and how they kind of meet.
Yeah.
Which is the whole point of it. But it intermingles 2 sets of storylines.
Yeah.
And so in this one, Mocha is being chased by people we don't know, really.
Right.
And then we see the boys having sort of conversations about kind of not feeling like they're fitting in at school.
Yeah.
The boys at this point are 7 or 8 years old. We have them down as 8 years old. And in the main story, they're 19. So this is sort of a flashback. And I guess we need to talk about what everything can be done in a flashback. Or are we going to do this all in color? Because usually our flashbacks are gray and white.
Yeah.
And that might get kind of old over... I don't know. I guess that's a good question to talk about with the artist and the colorist.
Yeah.
So we don't have to make that decision now as we're talking to you. So we have the first. So we went through and made our selections, and I guess we could talk about it here a little bit. We chose to start off with the B version.
Yeah.
For like the first 4 panels, and then we went back to A for the 5th panel. This is a different kind of comic book for us, as far as it's not as talky as our normal ones are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of action, more action in this than talking, really. Not a lot of like explosions and car chases and stuff, but there's action going on, and we have fewer panels in some ways because of that.
Yeah.
So, and when we wrote it, it was sort of the idea would be 5 or 6 panels on a page, and so in a lot of pages just have 5 panels, so it'd be more visual.
Yeah.
So then for the second page, we chose the B version.
Yeah.
Start to finish. Then we went back to A version for page 3, if you're keeping track at home. Then for page 4, we split it up between the A version and the B version. So the first 3 panels were from A, and the second 2 panels were from B.
Yeah.
4 and 5, and then 5 was a B, then 6 was A, and then 7 gets a little tricky here. It's the layout of 7A, but with the visuals from 7B.
Yeah.
After the first 5 panels. And then for page 8, it was all A.
Yeah.
Right. So I know that sounds exciting to hear that. But basically it's kind of looking at different visuals and seeing, okay, are we doing everything horizontal? And then she breaks things up. She'll have like a lot of times like an inset, or different point of view
Yeah.
that sort of changes things up. And in this case, she added several panels that were these are all kasunes, or excuse me, yokai.
Yeah.
Chasing a kasune, sorry. And we see them transform, and she added that to the story.
Yeah.
And then she had two different versions where there was going to be at the end of one page or at the beginning of another. And so once we went with the end of one page, then that sort of says, okay, we have to go with this version for the next page.
Yeah.
Which is 6 and 7. And that's why 7 is the layout of A, but with the art of B.
Right.
Right. So it was kind of it's something we do every week, or every month, I should say. And we do something every week.
Yeah.
Usually, but this is sort of a one-time thumbnail.
Yeah.
And then we'll see pencils in about a week or so.
Yeah.
And then inks by the end of the month usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes it slides a little. But it's not that big of a deal. So, do you have any overall impressions so far?
Just that so far it looks like it's turning out well.
Right. And we kind of we're going to probably do some documenting of this process besides Twitch and besides this podcast.
Yeah.
To sort of put together how we put together a issue.
When we did the Twitch stream, I was trying to show just an idea of what we get.
Right.
Because, as we discussed there, you don't want, like, art thieves.
Right.
Which unfortunately are a thing. And I was showing the B. I was a little worried at first because I accidentally showed all the...
Right.
It's not the whole issue, of course, but I was just worried I showed a little bit too much for, like, a couple seconds.
Right.
But... I'm sure nothing will come of it because we're not big yet.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense to do this if how they met as our sets of characters, and it wouldn't make sense. But I do understand the idea of we try to be protective of this. I guess I was also saying, heck, they're not seeing this, but it does make sense not to show it all.
Yes, although if anyone does try to take it, this is copyrighted material,
right?
So. No.
Okay. So, right now, issue number 9 is out, and this is issue number 15.
Yeah.
We're talking about. So this will probably come out, 2021, 2022, or something like that.
You know how these things go.
Right. And I didn't realize we were working so far ahead. But, we did sort of, we are trying to, I think, catching up a little bit because we will put issue number 10 out this year.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe around a Kickstarter or something.
Yeah.
Make it a bigger deal than 1 through 9 have been so far. But anyway, so it's something to look forward to, and I guess we will eventually put together a sort of, as you say, a little mini documentary about putting together issue 15.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's about it related to Power Squared.
Okay.
If you want to support our podcast and Power Squared in general, you can go to powersquaredcomic.com/shop, where you can buy physical and digital issues of the comic, as well as merch.
Right.
In the form of t-shirts.
Right. And there's a poster.
Right. Please someone buy it.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow along with our journey through making the book and see other things, subscribe to our newsletter at powersquaredcomic.com/join, and you'll also immediately receive issue number 1 for free.
Wow, that sounds like a great deal.
Yes,
because we actually charge for that otherwise. So yeah, we encourage you to join the conversation. As
yes.
we say. All right. So until next week, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins,
and this has been On the Air with Power Squared.